That's kind of a dead giveaway. You know exactly where we are. We're here in Tombstone. Thanks for joining us. We just had a great tour of this town. Never been here before. It is great. It's a bigger city than I imagined. And even though it's a little touristy, it's not too touristy. You still feel the energy that people had coming here. It's a silver mining town back in the late 19th century. So we're so excited to be here and show it to you. This is the site of the OK Corral. And this is where the big shootout was between the Earp brothers and Ike and some of the other fellas that you know about. Just watch the movie Tombstone, okay? Right now I just kind of want to show you where everything is. You know the history pretty much. As our tour guide said, you could go to Soviet Russia and say OK Corral and they didn't know, the folks there would know exactly who you're talking about and what you're talking about. Is that
where it really happened?
This is not quite where it really happened. This is sort of set up this way to facilitate tourism, but the actual location was just behind here between two very small buildings. It all took place between about 18 feet between Fly's photo studio and a little boarding house where that rascal Doc Holliday was staying at the time. Okay, now keep in mind these guys are rascals. Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, they're all rascals, okay? And they're from the north, they come to this area that's the south. Half the town loves them, half the town hates them, okay? Opportunists, you can kind of imagine the scenario. And people are trying to kill them all the time. So this whole thing started just right over here, and we'll walk up here. This was the general store, and this is kind of where people used to hang out back in the day. And specifically the Earps used to hang out evidently back when this was actually a hotel. And it was right in front of that building right there that is sort of the rust color. And you see right now you'll see the stagecoach and the horses passing right in front of it. And these are actually tours here. I told you there's a little bit of tourism here in Tombstone. So this is one of the things they do. They try to get you to go on a stagecoach tour. And this looks kind of fun. This adds a lot of atmosphere to the place. So, evidently, some of these rascals got drunk.
I live near here.
And who you live near here?
Crystal, where she lives.
Crystal, where do you live? And while Crystal's typing that in, evidently what happened that day at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon in October, it was actually snowing. The Earps were threatened. Their lives were threatened by a bunch of drunks, and so they didn't think that was right. So they sat right here and decided, what should we do? What should we do about this? And the decision to either go have a beer, as Dr. J said, or get out the gun and go fight these guys and prove our manhood. They decided to get out the guns and prove their manhood. So they walked down the street. Let's go see the street they walked down.
Crystal's from Carefree, Arizona.
Carefree, Arizona. Really, Crystal? Good. This is Donna Baker, by the way. The lovely Donna Baker is now camera operator and director of this podcast. Once in a while, she's behind the camera saying things like, shut up, or blah, blah, blah. So that's why I get distracted once in a while.
And someone's from North Carolina.
North Carolina, thank you. Well, Crystal from Carefree and the person from North Carolina. I'm glad you are joining us here in Tombstone. You got to come visit this place. Little off the beaten path, but it's worth it. So here we are. Let's go down. Let's take a look at another.
Hi, Dizoni.
Yeah, let's take a look at another stagecoach coming by and the horses. By the way, the horses contributed, back in the day, what comes out of the back of these horses contributed to the smell and stench of these streets. We think of the Old West as romantic, but there's nothing quite romantic about walking across a dirty, muddy street that is probably 60% horse biscuit.
Hi from Russia.
Russia. Hey, you see? They told us that anybody in the world knows about Tombstone, knows about the OK Corral, and the folks from Russia do. Welcome.
Tell Crystal to take a tour by Dr. J. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Crystal, take a tour. If you come here, take a tour from Dr. J, not the basketball player, but a former dentist who's very well versed on and educated on history, specifically the history of Tombstone. Okay, so this is where the guys stood, and they decided to go inside, have a beer, or go down there where those guys are hanging out and shoot them. All right, and so this is the street.
This is where Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp walked down to go on their way to the fight at the OK Corral.
You heard this 4 abreast story. And
it's cold.
Walking down the street, but it's actually, they probably walked down this very boardwalk to get down to just that little street right there where in modern times they're constructing the road. That was Fremont Street. You know what I thought was interesting is Wyatt Earp never called this the OK Corral shootout because it wasn't really at the OK Corral. It was an area, a big area, a very large area, and they were just between two buildings on Fremont Street. And he never referred to it as OK Corral. That was all Hollywood. And yes, he was part of Hollywood. By the way, listen to our podcast with Dr. Bob. We'll put him in the podcast.
J?
Dr. J. Sorry, Dr. J and Dr. Bob. We'll put a lot of information on that. SavoryRoad.com, by the way, is where you go. Also check us out on Facebook, Savory Road, so you can see some interesting things. Shall we continue up the street?
Yeah.
So that was the OK Corral back there. And it's a little bit off the main drag, so we're going to take you down the main drag. So you can see, it's a little touristy. If you want to get a t-shirt, or if you want to get some turquoise, or if you want to buy anything made of leather, duster jacket, you can find it here, that's for sure.
He wants to see some bullet holes.
Bullet holes?
The birdcage has, 127 in them? We'll go there.
We're going to go up to the birdcage. Now, if you've seen the movie, Tombstone, a lot of it is very authentic, even though none of it was filmed here. In fact, no major movies have been filmed here in Tombstone. They were all filmed at other places, and they constructed sets to look like the real Tombstone. But in the movie Tombstone, two things to remember. The Earps really never owned the saloon. They only owned a table, a gaming table. And that is at the Oriental, which we'll see in a moment. And then the famous part that I love, and you all love probably the most in that movie, is where Doc Holliday is portrayed by Val Kilmer, gets into this goofy, they call it the handkerchief fight, but that was true. There was, with Johnny Ringo, there was a handkerchief fight, but in the movie it's portrayed as a little cup, tin cup. That happens at the Birdcage Saloon, where there was a lot of gambling and a lot of ladies of the night always flowing. So let's go back up that way.
Well, it says you're very interesting.
Oh, thank you. Is that and that's just my looks, right?
Why don't you your senses? You've been out riding fences so long now. You're a hard one. I know you got your reasons. These things that are pleasing you hurt you somehow. Thank you. Don't you draw the queen of diamonds.
If I had a halfway decent voice, I'd sing along with them. We were in Stockholm one time and I sang along with the guy, and Donna Baker got mad.
No way.
So I don't do that
Here's
anymore.
the Cosmopolitan Hotel.
Kind of a neat little plaques every once in a while to give you a little history of what we're seeing here. Yeah, let's go down the street.
Yeah. So, Cosmopolitan was there. Hello from Brazil and Istanbul.
Brazil and Istanbul, as we're looking at the Tombstone mustachery. Of course, you had to have the mustache. Think about Civil War, right? Got a lot of guns. We just got out of a major war. We got a ton of guns. It's 1880. And you know what? The men looked, it was most like the 80s. The guys had the mustaches and the hair and the chops. Men weren't admitting it, but man, they cared about their looks, didn't they? So that's the mustachery. Let's go up here. So today is the, 29th or so of December. Christmas week, so we've got
Hello from
remnants
London.
of Christmas here. Hello from London. Hey, cheerio. Glad you could join us. A lot of Londoners here. A lot of, we noticed that today. There's a lot of British folks here, and you'd feel right at home. So, Western wear. Tour interest. So here's, oh yes, of course. You cannot come to, for you historians, you true historians that really want the authentic story on this place, you must come to Ike Clanton's Haunted Hotel. Yes, definitely. The Haunted Hotel. Ooh, I'm a little too scared to go in there.
Said it's freaking cold in Europe.
Who do we have now? You say Turup, you say Turup. You say look at, let's start Turup. It's a city in Europe that is an old western town. Okay, so here we go. So now we're coming up to the Oriental.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Something that you see all the time here in Tombstone is authentic to Tombstone. Literally. Now, this isn't just a tourist thing. This isn't just a prop. This is true. You can pack. You can pack. This is Arizona, all right? This isn't California. This is the West. People still pack, but you gotta check your weapons at the door. So we're coming up on the Oriental. Let's go out here so we get a better shot of it. This is also where a lot of the local tour guides and people like that kind of announce. This is almost like the town square right here. You see a lot of people yelling that tours are starting. There's a mine tour and there's all these stagecoach tours. But this is right outside the Oriental.
Did you ever watch Westworld?
Did I ever watch Westworld? Yes, I did, with Yul Brynner. Yeah, the robots and all that. That was a great show. Forgot about that. Westworld. Excellent choice. Hello, Mississippi. Here's the Oriental, folks, in Mississippi. And this is where the Earps rented. And remember the scene where, played by Billy Bob Thornton, where he's kind of the bully and he's the head of this table. Well, this was real common. You had your own table, and then you were kind of a little portion of the house, I guess, for poker playing and so forth. So this is where Wyatt Earp, played by our good friend, not Kirk Douglas, Kurt Russell, goes in and confiscates it basically from him. So this whole scene where they're out talking and all that, where Doc Holliday runs into Wyatt and they're talking and making fun of Billy Bob Thornton, who's just been relieved of his table. This all happens right here. And inside,
at 10 after 2.
so if you can get here by then, Mississippi person, you can take a silver mine tour at 10 after 2. And then this is where this all happened. This is where this all happened. It's the Oriental. This is also where, oh, by the way, right here, crossing this street, see these people crossing the street right here? This is where Virgil Earp was shot. And in the movie Tombstone with Kurt Russell, he gets shot there, and then he comes right across the street here, and that's where he walks in, and oh my God, this is Virgil Earp. He didn't die, but this is where he got shot, and this really started a lot of angst, shall we say? Okay. So again, if you want a t-shirt, who else has joined us? I appreciate you joining us because
Thank you, Jay Perez.
This gives you an idea how phenomenally popular Tombstone, the American West, and the story of the Earps and the shootout at OK Corral is on a worldwide basis. We've got people from all over the world tuning in just to see our first time here and visit. But when you come here, it'll probably be just like this. And by the way, we have a beautiful day here. It's December 28th, whatever. It's Wednesday. They had some cool weather. When we got here this morning, it was about 34 degrees. We stayed in Tucson last night. You drive about 2 hours from Tucson to get here. You go a little south off the 10 freeway. But we have a beautiful day here. Gentlemen wearing t-shirts.
Hi, Virginia.
Yes. Virginia? Hello, Virginia. Yes. Well, as we walk down to the birdcage, you see some real authentic holes in the wall. I can mention Periscope. I can't multitask, so I can't read the names of people calling, so Donna does that. She kind of chimes in. Oh, we got some shots going on.
Here's Wells Fargo Express. And we're going to end this tour over here at the Birdcage Theater.
If you were an opportunist, all right, if you were an opportunist coming to Tombstone, you found out what was going on back here in the late 19th century, what kind of business would you start? Let's walk over here and see. Who was probably one of the busiest guys in town? This guy right here was probably the busiest guy in town. This place is just a little bit creepy, just a little bit weird, just a little bit goth. The t-shirts here. Of course, the three men who were killed in the shootout at OK Corral, they've made a new t-shirt here. And I guess you can go inside here maybe for $5 or $10 to go inside and hear a scary story. I'm not sure what it is. And then over here we've got
the Sister Paranormal Investigators.
Yes. So Sister Paranormal Investigators, purchase the tickets inside, and you can also get yourself a cup of joe.
And you can take a nightly ghost tour. Okay.
By the way, when we came here this morning, it was cold. We needed a little bit of coffee. We went to Wyatt Earp's Coffee House, and yes, they do make cowboy coffee. They do make cowboy coffee for you, which is the old school way of drinking coffee. The cowboys did it all the time. Boiling pot pitcher of hot water, dump the grounds in, let it set, take it off the heat, let it set for about 5 minutes and pour it. That's cowboy coffee. You can get it here in Tombstone, baby.
Here's one last tour, one last shot of Thomas Cotton Street. And we're going to...
Now we're on our way to the Birdcage Theater.
Real men coffee, yep.
So in the movie Tombstone with Kurt Russell, this is where a lot of things happened. They went to see a play, and I believe this is where I think they staged the meeting of, or a development of the relationship between Kurt Russell and the mayor's wife. By the way, in real life, she was only 17. She was played by a much older, who was the actress from China Beach? Dana Delaney. In reality, she was only 17. Another thing we didn't know is that Wyatt Earp and all the Earps were tall. Virgil Earp was like 6'4", and everybody else at the time was smaller. You know, back in those days, people were smaller. So these guys were like giant, literally giants walking around this town. So the ladies, and they were good-looking dudes, I guess. So the ladies loved them. So this is also where that famous handkerchief duel went between Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo. Let's go inside, shall we? And this was the House of Ill Repute. And I guess in the bottom the basement of this place, they have the poker table from the longest poker game in history, which lasted like 8 years. So it might be a little crowded when we go inside here because it looks like a tour is going on. But maybe we can hack into the tour guide. So there we are. You want to see? Somebody wanted to see. Who wanted to see the bullet hole? Somebody wanted to see a bullet hole.
There's lots.
The most notorious one's right here, but someone's in the way. Oh, there's one over here. Let's show them this one. So these are all. So right there. That's enough to think.
I'm your huckleberry.
There we go. That is. I'm not sure exactly where those words were spoken, but nonetheless, the gentleman who said those words, Doc Holliday, spent a lot of time here. This was the hookers. Look at these staircases. Look at the staircase. It's very thin. I don't know if you folks can see that, but it's a very thin, narrow staircase that leads up to where the hookers are located. And so we have the bar over here.
The catwalk.
The catwalk, yeah, literally the catwalk.
Where the hookers for the night would parade.
They would parade their wares, yes, advertise themselves as if it were. And what other significance did this place have other than a theater? We may take the tour, but we'll have to see.
Some pictures of what it looked like in the day.
And do we want to see if we can find in the bar? Oh, there it is, right here.
Oh yeah. The people put their finger in it.
So that's one of the many bullet holes. I guess there's about 127 of them in here. Totally. Yeah. Okay. So what we want to do is sign off together here. So hopefully you can see us. Hopefully this won't end the Paris guide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
Sorry.
can't. We can't. So here's Donna Baker, lovely Donna Baker. So she has been our camera operator, director, and today. So we want to sign off from right here inside the Birdcage Theater. We're going to look at a little bit more of Tombstone. We want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, if you want to see other pictures of our Savory Road adventure, go to savoryroad.com. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're also on Facebook. So we're taking a road trip from LA to New Orleans. So follow along. Bye-bye.
Look forward to it.